there. So welcome up to the stage, Paula Rosecky.
So I want to show a hands who thinks that they have a pretty clear vision. It can be a vision of your life or a vision of what you are trying to accomplish in your business or your work. Just a quick show of hands. Do you think you have a pretty good vision? A little bit of half, maybe a little, okay. So I want to talk today about the importance of a vision, the importance of how you support that vision with your values, and then also how we get hijacked by all of the lovely voices that we hear either in our heads or from outside external circumstances and people and things like that. So first, I want a commitment from all of you that you're going to participate in this, because I'm not here just for myself. I'm here to help you also come up with these ideas of your visions, your values, and understanding the voices in your head. So that's why I've made sure you all had a piece of paper. And I want to give you a moment to think about, as I kind of talk through this, to be able to articulate and write down for yourself what your vision is. And let me tell you the importance of a vision. So what you want to think about is, what is a future state that you are trying to achieve for yourself or your business? You want to make sure it is somewhat inspirational. It's somewhat idealistic. It might be a little bit challenging, but it is clear and it's far-reaching. It's something that you are going to be aspiring to in the future. So it is a long-term goal or association that you have with something that's meaningful for you. I'm going to give you a couple of examples because I know that was helpful for me, and I will also share mine with you, and you're welcome to give me feedback later on it. Okay, so a possible vision statement. There's a woman in town. She's actually, her name is Ruchika Tulshian, and she has written a book. So it sounds like it might be familiar to some of you. She's written a book called Inclusion on Purpose, and she has a company called Candor. And her possible vision statement, because I couldn't quite find it, but she's very clear about what she talks about. So it is, in my mind, to catalyze workplace cultures of true inclusion where diverse talent thrives. So that's an example. Another example is by Sarah Blakely from Spanx. Everyone is familiar with Spanx, very, very successful company. To help women feel confident, comfortable, and fashionable through thoughtful innovation. And then finally, Michelle Obama has been so inspirational to me, and she kind of shows up in the world to aspire and empower all people, especially young people, to achieve the unlimited potential through education, civic engagement, and living healthier lives. So I'm going to give you just like not even, maybe a minute to just jot down a note or two. If you can only think about it, that's okay. I see you. It's good to write. The reason I love writing these things down in analog fashion, not digital, is because it's very good for your brain to translate a thought into something that can become more real later. So having even just a word or two that you know is part of your vision for your life or for your work. All right, and then if someone would be so bold to share, that would be super helpful. Yes.
So right now I'm just doing bookkeeping for people. So the vision would be help clients earn and keep more money.
Okay. And when you think about that, how does that make you feel? How do you feel when you say that?
Gives you a purpose, you know, and it helps you to endure because it's like there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like you're not just like, okay, I'm gonna do the accounting thing. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find ways out to have more money or keep more money.
Great.
Earn more money or keep more money.
Okay, appreciate your contribution.
Oh.
Little something for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else have stuff they'd like to share? This is your time to let people know. Yeah, hi. Tell us your name, if you don't mind.
Gwendolyn with a W.
Hi,
no G on the front.
Great. I'm sorry, I know this is Marcus, so nice to see you. Yeah, go ahead, Gwendolyn.
My goal is to create a pathway to extraordinary success for all students receiving special education.
Yeah, so that's far reaching, it's inspirational, it's very clear, aspirational. And how does that feel to say for you?
Because I'm like kind of pre-launch, so it's still figuring it out in the weeds, so yeah.
Yeah, okay, fun. What a great feeling to have when you think about your vision, right? Fun. Anyone else wanna? Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I have a personal vision statement
Go ahead.
that is give to my community through intentional leadership.
Mhm. Nice.
Because I like it because it talks about the community aspect, and I think that intentional fits my approach very well. So
Yeah, it's a strong word. Yeah, and how do you feel when you say that?
I feel energized. Yeah.
So great. So notice how like leaning into some positive, positive emotion is really helpful too, right? So fun, empowering, intentional, and energized.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fabulous. Okay, well, here's mine. This is a work in progress, isn't it? Like I sometimes like grab words that I know fit me. And I kind of put them in there and I roll it around for a while and I kind of keep going. So mine is to help businesses and individuals become more empathic, innovative, and inclusive. Broad reaching, I think specific enough, and I feel really good when I think about that. So now you might be thinking, well, what is the difference between a vision and a goal? And they are obviously very related concepts, but they are different as well. So a vision is an overarching dream or something, and an aspirational view, whereas a goal is something that's a little bit more specific. You can see where some action steps might take place, and it's a little more measurable, but it has like a journey associated with it. And the reason visions and goals are important is because we need to help our brains have a path forward, because otherwise we get distracted and we meander. And so think of a vision or a goal to be like the rudder on a ship, and it gives you some sense of direction. You can change course if you need to, but having that vision in front of you is very helpful. It triggers our brain to know what to do, and it helps us master all of our mind chatter because we already have it somewhere that we want to go. So the thing that is going to propel you to continue to move in the direction of your vision are your values. Now, who thinks that they're pretty connected to their values? Please raise your hand. Okay. Values. Okay. So take just another moment and jot down. It can be words, it can be phrases, it can be any little bits of information that you consider to be a value. And they're important because they're motivational. They give you sort of the idea of the speed of how something is going to happen, and it allows you to know where you are going to need to do some course correction. Our values help us make decisions. So when you're if you're thinking about a vision and you want to know, is this decision I need to make in the direction of my vision, you can go to your values to help you see if you're headed in the right direction. And values are always so interesting to me because oftentimes if you know that you're frustrated or living in some sort of negative emotion, oftentimes if you think about your values, and you're in a place of frustration, it's because two of your values might be at odds. And so this is your opportunity to see which value you want to lean into in that moment. So who has an example of some values that you wear, but, by which you lead your life or your business?
So, there's just five, so it'd be kind of like pillars that hold up the vision. So simplicity, substance, nimbleness, dedication to truth, and responsiveness. This is something I came up with. I wrote a book talking exactly what you're saying, so. Like, it's like the book is being personified. No, seriously, which is,
I love
it's
that.
good information. But yeah, like yesterday I was typing, I had all these tabs up, and I was just like, this isn't simple, like going back to simplicity, do you want to, but I got rid of like 5 tabs. I think better when there's less tabs. I only have 50 tabs up. I just like having like 2 or 3, and that really helps.
Yeah, I love that example. It's so simple. It's like right there in front of you. You know exactly what to do in the moment if you just tap into your values. Yeah, another example? Oh,
The,
go ahead. Ethan.
the two that have kind of been with me the longest are peace and understanding. And those I think both have like an interpersonal sort of character of what does it look like to be at peace, to help create systems of peace, and then the importance of shared understanding. Important for me to kind of have a sense of the world and things around me, and then also to create that for other people.
Yeah, because those can give you the answer to, well, what do I do next, or who do I be in this space, right? It gives you a way to show up in the world based on, and this is all internal, it's all internal dialogue, right? You're in a situation and you know, how do I want to lean into my peace right now, peacefulness or understanding of somebody? So yeah, thank you. I'm just giving these randomly. So you get what you get. It's a surprise. Surprise. Any other values that you hold yourself by? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, can you help me remember your name?
Tom.
Tom. Nice to meet
I recently did the Psychology Today core values profile,
you. Yeah.
and my top 5 are empathy, utilitarianism, intellectualism, hard work and diligence, and altruism.
Okay. And how does that show up for you? Do you have an example of like a thing that happens in your life?
Empathy is a big one for me. What other people are going through, being able to relate to people on their level.
Yeah.
So I've been told.
Go ahead.
Mine's simple, it's just diversity, equity, inclusion, access, and belonging.
Okay.
Let me counterbalance this a little bit because I tend to be very pragmatic, and I think of these things in the business situation. Right?
Yes.
And I have always been connected to innovation, and the way I internalize that is don't fear the unknown or the new, right? Go into it, run into the fire, right? That's one of the things. And the other one is fairness. Everybody gets compensated to the degree that they provide value. That's the thing. That's the thought, right? The more value that you provide to an organization, the more that you get the share out of their spoils. Right?
Yeah, value exchange is huge, right? Yeah.
One thing I would mention is one of my values used to be giving in kind to others. And I shortened that and I just said giving in kind because I realized that sometimes I was hard on myself and I needed to be kind to myself essentially, like take care of myself as well.
Yes.
And that fit my values, better, that I couldn't just abandon myself in that,
Yes.
So I just think I really appreciate you saying that, because whenever I find myself in conflict with someone, I often think it's because they are unable to be generous with me because they're unable to be generous with themselves, so I think that that helps people around you. If you'll be vulnerable with yourself, it helps people be vulnerable with you. I just think it's that reciprocity, and starting at home, like really starting at home, like with yourself, it's like so important in this work. I agree. I think that's a really interesting approach.
Yeah, and I love the awareness of taking off the with others, because I'll get to that in my next section of like, what are some of the ways that might hijack us to not continue on the vision and show up in our values? Because if you are thinking about others a lot, and this is only the answer, right? Then is this is that a little too much? Are you leaving enough energy for yourself? Are you able to show up for yourself? So I think that's a great awareness. Okay, values, everyone feel, on a scale of 1 to 10, how connected do you think you are to your values? 10?
And
10? And it's okay if you're not. 6?
Can I share a thought?
Please.
Huba's like pragmatic, business focused, something that I've noticed recently is like as I mentioned, peace and understanding.
Yeah.
And those are like, I feel like I experience those as like presence, calm. And there's often times where I'm like, I feel like I'm living in alignment with my values. I'm like, I'm also not doing it. Right. And so identifying, so your question of how connected are you is, for me, it highlights, is there a gap in, in a value that maybe I'm not as clear about or connected to, the thing that's going to continue to sort of drive me forward. So when I like really sit back my values, it's like, I'm like, wow, like, oh, I think everything's good. It's like, well,
Yeah.
what if I don't do anything, what's 6 months down the line going to kind of look like? So I think there's a gap for additional inspiration for me personally.
And so what you might want to do, this is a suggestion, is looking at your values. So what I like to do is get like 10 or 12 out there and really look at them, sit with them, play with it. And then if you feel like you need to have a balanced energy, maybe, sounds like it's possible for you. Like what might be something that has more energy behind it? So for me, and feel free, anyone, if you have examples of yours where you feel like this one is a little more, calm or peace, that kind of thing. But the other one is the one that gets me into action, because I think there are times where we need to say, and now I have to do something. Sometimes we just have to do it. There's a reason Nike came up with that slogan, because sometimes you just have to get up and do it, right? So for me, I have some similar ones. Like I have connectedness, and that can be very that shows up all kinds of ways for me. That one can be sort of a more lower energy one. I also have calm. My whole demeanor is calm. I have a lot of energy, but I'm also calm. So the one that kind of gets me going into action is growth. That is a big one for me, is continuing to grow, and not like in an uber high achiever way. I'm just ambitious, and that's okay. Like I have come to peace with my ambitions. All good, Okay, so that's values. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to also mix it up here because I feel like I have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
Because I have a career, I support my family. I'm very passionate about my career. I've been doing it for a long time. It's been pretty successful, seen a lot of cycles, ups and downs. And so I care about that, but I'm getting, the other part of me is that I'm an artist, I'm a playwright. And so I'm getting to the point in my life where the artist feels like she got short shrifted too long. And so I think it's really hard to be in an environment like this where people are so focused on entrepreneurship. My values, it's like I have fairness, belonging, connection, collaboration, and actually artistic excitement and risk-taking, right?
Okay.
And so, which is like your growth maybe, but like sometimes I feel like there's a tension between them. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes you human, right? We each have yin and yang, and this is where your value, coming to making decisions on a daily basis. And looking at your vision. So if you have, the overarching vision that you're fairly clear on, how can you incorporate both of those parts of you and feel good about that?
Yeah.
I think instead of, we talk about work-life balance, and I hate that because it's like you're on a teeter-totter and it's either this or that. And I think if we throw that away and we say harmony, we're finding harmony in our life, and we think about music, Music has many different tones.
Colors.
And at certain points, some recede and some are exaggerated. So thinking about that in your life, there's harmony. And so at certain moments, you are the playwright. There's nothing else. There's no family, there's no nothing else. That moment, that's what you are fully. And then other times that recedes and you're wrong. And then other times you're just getting shit done at work and that's just where you have to be. And if you think about it more like harmony, it allows you to fully encapsulate where you are at that moment.
I love that. Yeah, what do you think?
It's
Yeah,
contextual, right?
that,
What did you
that
say?
resonates for me.
I said it's contextual.
Yeah, absolutely. And life comes in phases, right? Like there are some times where you're like, I was in this crazy work phase and I loved it and it was energizing and I was doing all these amazing things. And then sometimes it's okay to have a season of calm and reflection and maybe transition in, a way that's a little deeper. So I think it's all part of life.
Yeah, especially like, there's nothing anybody has said here about the natural world. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I bet you that several people in this room would agree to go hiking with me or water, So the cycle of seasons, that's how we are first human beings, animals, mammals, and then we are workers, I think. So it's interesting to put things in terms of seasonality.
I think so too. Okay, so let's move on to, so then we have, we're pretty clear with our vision. We're pretty connected to our values between 7 and 10. We're feeling pretty good about that. And now there are going to be things that are happening around us. There are going to be people who have things to say, opinions about where we're going and what we want to do. And maybe even louder, we're going to have voices in our head that are telling us, that's not right. You should not be doing that. Who are you to do that? And a whole host of things, right? So take a moment. Again, I'd love for you to just take a moment. We won't hang here long, but I would love for you to just write a few things down that you have heard in your head come up around your vision of what you're trying to do in your life or business right now. What are some thoughts that you have in your head that are negative thoughts, make you feel crappy, make you feel less than or unworthy or those kinds of things? Like, what are some of the things that are making you feel below the line? I think of emotions that are above the line, which are positive, and below the line, which are more negative. What are some of those sentences you have come up in your head? So I want to acknowledge when we share this, that this is pretty vulnerable work. So feel free, if you don't want to share, that's okay. This is your work. But if you would like to share, it also helps other people when we are in community and share and know that we're not alone.
So 2 thoughts, I'm just gonna take that vulnerability one run. One thought I've had is that this is like at my house by myself working, your ideas are shit, that no one's gonna care. Honestly, I thought that.
Your ideas are
It's terrible. Like I thought that to myself, I'm like, no one's gonna value another one this price. No one's gonna pay me $1,000 a month to do accounting. And I tested that assumption one day and it was false. So someone was just like, y'all do it. And I was just like, why didn't I do this? Further, but a lot of times we do lie to ourselves. So no, I just remember it was like traversing a mountain when like somebody said yes. Cause I was just like, and I was like, I can get 2 to say yes, which I did. No one can say no to me. I can be like revert back by these people. And then it really worked. And it was just like, it was an insecurity. It was just like, I did not think anybody would pay me that for whatever reason.
Yes, what
It
an
worked.
incredible thought to have, to hold on to, right? No one will pay me this. or
Yeah,
that.
and then I would do like 500, I'd be like 500 safe, 250 safe, whatever, then I was just like, I'm gonna just throw this out there and just try. And then
Yeah,
like, I don't get pushback from it, they're just like, whatever. It just goes to the next thing, and so I just wish I did that.
yeah, thank you, Marcus, go ahead.
Just to expand on what he said, it's like, I've had that where it's like, they'll never pay me that much, and then they say, sure. I'm like, why didn't I charge more?
That can be your next empowering thought, I can charge more, how about that? Any other thoughts that are, Joy? Go ahead, Jessica.
This is what I call the itty bitty shitty committee.
Yeah.
You think of them as the itty bitty shitty committee.
Yes.
Look at them on your shoulder and you can go like this and it helps.
Yes, absolutely. I love that visual. There we go. We can all do it right now. Just ping right off the shoulder. Ping. Yeah. Any other? Go ahead.
Mama, why don't you get a job? That's like, that's my head.
Oh, now you were singing. So I love it. I love to sing. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many crazy voices in our head about why we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. So there is work that was done out of a Stanford lecturer named Shirzad Shamin, who wrote a book called Positive Intelligence, teaches a thing called Positive Intelligence. And what I love about this work is that he talks about all of those sentences, all the sentences that we all have. He has done research and clustered them into different personas. So when we're flicking off that little person on our shoulder, Jessica, they actually we have names for these personas. I'm not going to go through all of them because there are 9 of them, but the first major one that you want to know about, and everybody probably has heard the word inner critic, and in this framework we call it the judge, and it's like your master saboteur. It's the person that is always there telling you, you can't, why are you doing this? You're not good enough. That, like, those kind of loud voices. So who has a big loud judge sometimes? Yeah, I do every day. And these are things we need to like just soften, quiet. They're probably never gonna go away, but they are voices that we can be very aware of and just tone them way down. I'm going to share 3 or 4 other ones that come up a lot for the people that I work with. The first one is called stickler. So this is like, you have to be perfect. This cannot go out to anybody right now until it is absolutely done, buttoned up, perfect. How true is that? That is not true. I'm a big fan of B- work. If you can get it done to at least B-, and then you've got to get it out. It's got to be shown. I mean, look at my notes. That's just it. Now we're out. We're just doing it, right? Another one is controller. No one can do this like me. No one can do this like I can do it. So I've got to hang on to this right now. Can't go to anybody else. Right? So I've got to be in control of everyone and what they're thinking and what they're feeling. I have to know all of that right now. You can think about this in your family life, right? And your work life. Yeah. Anyone have an example of something like that comes up for you? Controller?
I'm a 6.9 on controller, so yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this responsibility to other people, and somehow that translates into I need to control them.
Yes. So interesting, right? Joy?
Well, I'm a military brat, and like when you grow up and you're constantly getting like your home life is always changing, your environment is always changing. There's some sort of level of trying to control something.
Yeah.
So I did identify with being a control freak sometimes, because I really have to know all these things, because otherwise, chaos could take over and then it'll be out of control.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can see how your context of coming from a military family, right? I can only imagine like the sense of control people feel they always need to have. So to let go of that is really an exercise, right? It's probably maybe even a lifelong exercise.
Another thought, a lot of small employers have that mentality, like control, they don't wanna like give up control to like the employees to do work, even though it can help their life. I see this firsthand a lot, like there is a consternation in giving stuff up, because they may not do it right, no one can do it the way I do, no one has the insights I have, stuff like that, and so I think that'd be an opportunity for you is helping like smaller businesses with that, because it's just like, I see it as, it's a barrier all the time, and they want more time, it's like, hey, if you give this up to somebody else to do, if you delegate this, you'll have more time, but they won't do that.
Yeah, it's a barrier
Yes.
to their growth.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, right, and that is a way that they're possibly holding themselves back from growing. So another one is pleaser. Who here identifies with thinking that you are a people pleaser? Yeah, yeah, it's easy to do that. So this is where we are focused on gaining the approval of other people. And we like to avoid conflict in order to keep the semblance of like the relationship almost at all costs. And unfortunately, that can then cause, like if you're noticing that you're feeling some sort of resentment is often comes from your wanting to please other people for some reason. And so noticing that, I always go to a feeling. What am I feeling? And I'm thinking about something because I'm feeling something. Right? They're very interrelated. So catching what you're thinking to notice why you're feeling resentment will help you be able to move out of that. And then another one that is very common in the US especially is hyperachiever. We are very focused on what's next. We've got to be very successful. We're, defining it typically in monetary ways. It's that relentless voice of pushing forward always. If you're from an immigrant family like me, that is very pervasive. Like I work with a lot of immigrant women, and that is something that we have to work on is where does that come from? Why do you think you need to be achieving always? So those are what we call saboteurs. They hijack the way we're thinking towards a goal, and we can move from our saboteur way of thinking to more of a sage or wise way of thinking. And I'm going to show you all, or I'm going to just share with you a couple of tips to be able to do that. So I would like all of you to just grab your forefinger and your thumb, and you can either close your eyes or you can gently put them to the ground. And let's just take a deep breath. In and out. And now gently rub your fingertips together in a way that you pay such attention that you can feel the ridges on your fingertips. Feel the ridges on your fingertips. Take another deep breath. Just wiggle our toes, make sure that you feel all of your toes on the ground. Every single one of them, make sure you feel each one. And then if you have closed your eyes, as you open them, make sure you actually feel what it feels like to have your eyes open. Back in the space here. And hear what you're feeling after taking that moment.
I feel more oxygen.
More oxygen, okay.
I feel more in my body.
Feel more in your body, yep. More in your body. How is that helpful to feel more of your body.
It's helpful because then it centers you and more, I don't say workplace, but less reactive and more calm, and that's usually where ideas and wisdom emerge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts on that?
Presence,
Presence,
Yeah.
yeah,
shut off the prefrontal cortex,
exactly.
the noise.
Yeah, because that's what our brains like to do. So what we were just doing is shifting from one part of our brain to another part of our brain. So that we get out of all of the mind chatter and we move to a place where we have our own wisdom, we have our own powers to explore, to innovate, to navigate through situations, and have empathy and understanding for people. And all of that comes from just a few moments of taking a pause. Yeah. And with that, I think we will pause there.
Yeah,
We
Thank
went
you.
well over.
yeah, we have a couple of minutes. If someone has any feedback for Paula on what we just heard for the presentation, feel free. Do we have any feedback or?
Yes.
The counterintuitive part where you were saying that doing analog versus digital is good. Personally enjoy things that are non-obvious and conventional. I feel like that's where I learned the most. Is like I don't want to hear something I heard before. I want to like do something I've done before. So I like that aspect of how you like let's do analog versus digital because everything's digital now.
Yeah. Thank you.
I like that was largely experimental, and so there's a good balance between providing the context, connecting people's experiences with your feedback, but giving them the chance to discover, share, and connect.
Mhm.
I think it was really well paced and calm in that, where none of that felt rushed. There was a nice sequence of activities where it felt like you can self-reflect, share, and then you had a nice calming activity to take us to the next place.
you.
I like the references too, because you're able to pull a different knowledge base to really kind of amplify the things that we're talking through. I think the only thing that might be able to help in the future, and it depends on the client you're working with, is some sort of icebreaker, like rapport building activity, even if it's like a minute, it's a lot, just to kind of check in how is everyone feeling 1 to 10, or some activity that just kind of like warm up the space or get a sense of how people are feeling. Otherwise, the rest felt really natural. I would not, I give it way beyond a B+ or B-. I would like that B-.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I just love the fact that you touched on values because I think core values are so important in the decisions we make and how we interact with others. And I don't think many of us really are truly aware of our deeply held core values.
Yeah.
And I think awareness in core values really helps us in, like who was it that said, when you get to a fork in the road, take it, when it comes to making one decision or the other, really knowing what your core values are is great.
Yeah, and knowing that whichever direction you go there is no wrong way to go. We think there is, but there really isn't.
Yeah.
How are we to know what is the wrong way to go?
As long as you bring your whole self,
Yeah.
don't leave yourself at
Yeah.
the fork.
So I'd like to say something.
Emily, we're gonna say something.
Lauren.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I really appreciate how, although you are a sage and running this, you were passing and talking to stuff back and forth, and really, I enjoyed hearing, really learned so much from you and everybody else, and really just thought it was a real community building event, because it wasn't a talk, it wasn't a lecture, it was like, it was.
It's meant to be more of a workshop, so my intention would normally be to do an icebreaker and whatever. I mean, I was trying to work with 8 minutes. I don't think I did that. But then I took some leeway apparently. So yes, thank you for that feedback. Appreciate it.
One suggestion maybe for the structure of the presentation is, besides the icebreaker, for the people who don't know what to expect. I mean, we're organizers, right? Volunteers here. We're just sitting back and relaxing and letting you talk, right?
Mhm.
But let's say someone walks into the room and doesn't know what to expect, maybe telling them what can they expect from your presentation. This is what we will be doing now.
Okay,
and then you get into it instead
Okay.
of just jumping right.
so did I not do that enough
I,
in the
I
beginning?
don't
probably
feel that
didn't,
I
really
got that
didn't.
in the beginning, right?
Okay,
Yeah, I really like your comment on the fact that values drive decisions, right? And it's, when you see this in an organizational context, the way I like to say it is that the culture, which is values plus habits plus, the purpose of the organization is what drives decisions when the boss is not in the room.
right.
So that's super
Exactly.
important because you can have processes and policies that actually address things that we know about, right? Things that we have seen before. But what happens when things that are unexpected happen and the boss is not in the room to make a decision? That's when the values and the culture kick in, right? Before we go, let me just read this because I'm having these. So a couple of comments. One is, one person, I think it's Sarah. Yeah, Sarah Hay. She says, love the fact that there were no slides to distract me. She dislikes slides and it was excellent. And Morgan enjoyed the meditation exercise. So
Thank you, Sarah and Morgan.
That sounds good. And you guys, and if you guys have any more feedback, make sure to grab it.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just wrap up saying,
Yeah.
so, I'm Paula Rosecky. I'm a longtime market researcher, so a lot of what I bring and where I get my inspiration is from many, many focus groups, IDIs, ethnographies, in-home research that I've done, and then facilitation. And I do take on a few one-on-one coaching clients. So that is how I can work with you if you are wanting more of me.
Yeah. Okay.
And please connect on LinkedIn. That is probably the best way to connect.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.